Hey everybody, Seth Campbell here with the new Segue Says podcast. Well, this week I'm going to try something new, and by new, I mean this Segue is only 4 days old. I believe, but I'm not certain, that is the most recent Segue has been to be featured in one of these videos. But it's by a couple artists I haven't done in a little while, and it really sounded cool, so I figured I'd give it a shot, even in its infancy. So the two songs this week are Drive My Car by the Beatles and D.I.Y by Peter Gabriel, which once again speaks to my love of all things obscure by the big artists. I mean, Drive My Car is pretty well known. It's one of the better known Beatles songs. Though I don't know if it was necessarily a hit. It's very popular. D.I.Y, only the really hardcore Peter Gabriel fans who were with him very early or who have since, dug deep into his discography's back catalog, like myself, would know about. And both of them are originally in the key of D. They're both sort of a Mixolydian D. You can hear I've got what I refer to as my Peter Gabriel piano sound on for this one, because it works for the Beatles tune, and D.I.Y. just sounds so much better with this than a regular standard acoustic piano sample. So, they were both originally in D. I've been playing D.I.Y. in C for years just because it's easier to sing, and I think it just kind of sounds cooler in C, and Peter Gabriel has been playing it in C when he's brought it back on recent tours. And Drive My Car I've just recently started playing in C, again because it's easier for my voice. And I noticed something while playing Drive My Car that made me think that linking it to D.I.Y. would be perfect. And I'll show you what that is very shortly. Now, first, of course, the way we do things here is a quick sample of each, just in case you're not familiar with them. Drive My Car is the first track on the Rubber Soul Beatles record, which, if you ask me, is kind of underrated as far as Beatles records goes. I believe about halfway through their run. And there's a lot of really good songs on there that aren't necessarily as well known. This one and Norwegian Wood are probably the most well known of this record, although I'm trying to remember if In My Life was on this record or not. But in any case, it's a great record. Check it out. Rubber Soul, S-O-U-L. I'm still trying to figure out what that means. Now, Drive My Car, when brought down to C, goes something like this. Asked a girl what she wanted to be. She said, baby, can't you see? I wanna be famous, star of the screen, but you can do something in between. Baby, you can drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star. Baby, you can drive my car, and baby, I'll love you. Tell that girl that my prospects were good, etc. That's the second verse. So that's one time third. And as you can hear, it's not quite blues per se, which should have a lot more of the minor third, but it is Mixolydian, so you got the flat seventh rather than just a C major. So you got that add a little bit of tension in there, and that is crucial because D.I.Y. has the same thing. Now, D.I.Y., like much of Peter Gabriel's stuff, and particularly his early stuff, is very weird. It's one of those ones, I haven't bothered to figure out what the time signatures are through the whole thing because it's constantly changing. I just learned it by playing what it sounds like. So, this is one time through a verse chorus. I suppose you call it a chorus. It's more of a vamp of D.I.Y. 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 Don't tell me what I will do, 'cause I won't. Don't tell me to believe in you, 'cause I don't. Be on your guard, bitter, hostile, and hard. Don't risk affection. your, what did you say? And I'll tell you straight in the eye. Hey! D.I.Y. 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 And then it's a new verse. As you can see, like I said, weird, but a lot of fun. This is, you know, saying it's one of my favorite Peter Gabriel tracks, just it doesn't do it justice because I have so many favorite Peter Gabriel tracks. But this one is so much fun to play. It was very difficult to figure out, but once I started playing it, it's just a blast because you got all these weird turnarounds and chords and times. It's really just crazy, and it's a really fun exercise. I recommend trying to learn it to anyone who has a spare few hours to fool around on a piano, because it will probably take you that long. But as you can hear, you know, this is also very much in the Mixolydian key, so it uses the flat 7, which is a B flat in the key of C. And the other thing these two have in common, and this is what started me thinking as far as creating a segue goes, is they both have a walk-up bass line. In the chorus of Drive My Car, now this one is actually outlining the chord changes, which is in theory a D, a G, and a C. So it's doing the 1, 2, flat 3, 3 of the D, and then the same thing for the G, 1, 2, flat 3, 3. So it's skipping a couple of notes chromatically because it's outlining the chords. And that's why the timing works out. And so it stays in 4/4. You don't have to screw around. Now the D.I.Y. walk-up that's used, the main walk-up I should say, because it uses a lot of them, is chromatic. So it uses all 12 notes, which means the timing is funky, which you probably picked up on listening to it. And by chromatic, I mean it uses all 12 notes on the available Western music scale. You can hear the timing where the next measure starts is kind of strange. So, the idea occurred to me, okay, same key since they're both modulated down from D to C. They were in the same key originally anyway. Both have a walk-up. How to use this? Now, obviously the most crucial part in the D.I.Y. walk-up is those last 3 notes. Unfortunately, despite the fact that the Drive My Car walk-up skips a couple notes because it's outlining the chords, those last 3 notes, and in fact the last 4 notes, A, B flat, B, C, are the same. So, the idea I came up with was to basically start this, treat those last 3 notes of the Beatles progression as if they were just the walk-up of D.I.Y. Now the tricky thing is that Drive My Car does not actually end on one of these, and it always has a vocal line, maybe, and maybe I'll love you. And I didn't really want to get that in the way. I mean, you have an option here if you want to do maybe I'll love you. You could do that, but for some reason it feels like it disrupts the flow to me. Because when you hear the maybe I'll love you, you're expecting them. And then of course what Drive My Car is famous for is a beep 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 beep, yeah. Beep 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 beep, yeah. Beep 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 beep, yeah. So unfortunately we're gonna have to trim that ending off to make this work. That's okay because there is a beep, 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 yeah in the second chorus, so we haven't eliminated that characteristic completely, which you wouldn't want to do because when you're doing a segue, you don't want to cut off any important parts of the song for the sake of a segue. I've seen some artists who have done that where they do enough of a song that it's more than just a tease, so it's more than singing one quick verse of something in the middle of something else. They played enough of the song that the song is established, but they don't do enough for it to feel complete. It feels like you only got half a song. So, because this has the beep, 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 yeah, in a previous chorus, we don't need to worry too much about that. Now, and we can't really go back to this at the end of D.I.Y. because when you start D.I.Y. you're opening up a whole other can of worms that's very difficult to get out of because it's so weird. So, the idea I had would be, you finally get to the last chorus. I found a driver and that's a start. Baby, you can drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star. Baby, you can drive my car. Baby, I love you. Baby, you can drive my car. Did a double chorus. Yes, I'm gonna be a star. Baby, you can drive my car. And I actually screwed that up, so I'm going to do this again. You can drive my car. It sounds like you're just doing some kind of crazy fancy ending and everyone's wondering, what are you doing? And by this point, it should be clear that it's a new song. D.I.Y. 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 And there you go. So, this is, I don't believe, something we've used before in a Segue video, where what we focus on is that the two songs, the songs are very different, though they're in the same key. And the same key is what bails us out here. But they each have a melodic phrase, even though it's mainly in the bass line or in the piano. They have a similar melodic phrase. And that's about all they have in common. But when melodic phrases are similar, you can make good use of that to essentially trick the listener for just a moment so that you can glide from one to the other very smoothly. So I believe this is the first of its kind. So thanks as always for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you next week.